yo, we need to check you for weapons right now. And I'm like, what is happening?
Basically, 80% of people said, if you don't like it, why don't you change instead of blaming the system?
It's crazy though.
So I got in a knife fight, ran 30 minutes past
got bandaged up, and then
yeah.
Oh
like,
my!
no,
fam.
And I had to pay, just for the record, I had to pay about 3,000 USD for pushing someone one hand push.
Wow.
Yeah, but remember that you remember from earlier, you're Goku, so your one hand push would be obviously sent him flying through. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Figures a Gaijin here, Jamaican YouTuber, and I have two guests here. Allow them to introduce themselves, and then we're going to get into the topic for the video today. Something that's not really spoken about a lot in Japan, but we kind of have to talk about it because it happens more often than people think. So we go from the left.
I'm DOT.KAI, aka Ocean, preferably called DOT.KAI, unless you know me. And y'all don't know me. So call me DOT.KAI.
Word.
I'm a rapper and / designer, artist person in Tokyo. Get at me.
All right, so his credentials will be put up and stuff like his socials and stuff like that. We put up in the video and in the description below. Okay, next we got the person who kind of, got me really thinking more about the topic that we're going to talk about today. Please introduce yourself, sir.
All right, well, I'll be honest, I'm not that famous like this. My man's over here. I'm just a regular old dude who teach English, just another black guy in Tokyo, man. People call me Zoe. And and I'm half Japanese and my father's from the Bahamas.
Oh, you Caribbean? Ooh, all right.
Yeah,
y'all Caribbean.
Yeah.
Oh.
Islanders.
Caribbean gang.
Oh, Islanders.
But I don't know. Don't get me wrong. I do not speak no patois. None of them Rastafarian language. I wish I did, but unfortunately, I didn't grow up with it. So
it's cool. It's good. You don't have to fake it. It's cool, man. Because a lot of people always claim to be from the islands. The only way to represent
for me is the dreads. That's all I can do. That's the only way to represent for me. The dreads. That's all I can do.
All right, bet.
I just preed your shirt, Dre. I like that. Minava koma Nihon.
Oh yeah.
It's all me. Japanese, patois, everything. Just the whole amalgamation of things. All right, so today, guys, we're here to talk about the thing that has been swept under the carpet a lot in Japan. The other side of Japan that people don't often experience or speak about, but it does happen. And in light of the whole, I don't want to bring them up, but the BLM movement or the Black Lives Matter movement and the things that have been happening with police officers in America in particular, nobody's going to be killed in Japan by a police officer because, it's just not how it's set up like that, right? The system is a bit different, but that doesn't mean discrimination doesn't happen here. And in particular, foreigners especially, whether you're black or white, do get stopped by police very often. But we as black people tend to get harassed more. And so, not playing any victims or anything, we just want to talk about our experiences with the police here in Japan. Our police actually just predisposed to us based on the fact that a lot of what Japan sees for black people is what they get from America. And so, are they already in their mind having their biases set up to say that, well, these black men are dangerous? Or is it just something that is a total thing against foreigners in general? So I'm going to let Ocean go. Ocean actually was in a very interesting predicament, but if he wants to get into that, he can speak to that.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, so I think no matter where you go in the world, if you're in a G7 country or anything that's a large consumer of global culture, you end up getting a bit of a trickle-down effect from American culture, which includes racism, because it is one of the foundational pillars of how America was built, right? So as for Japan, I think that the broader overall discrimination is based in xenophobia, but they are a large consumer of American popular culture and even legal culture and things that around almost every facet of the society. So without a doubt, there are negative stereotypes of the entire African diaspora that are traded and brought into the country and that people are going to be thinking about when they have their day-to-day interactions with you. That said, I will say that you also get some of the benefits of being American. When someone, I'm sure you guys have had incidents where maybe someone approached you and they thought you were directly from an African country, and then when they find out that you're you're not. Basically, the way they treat you. The way they treat you changes like a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do get the good and the bad of that, but yeah, I think that there are definitely negative black stereotypes that are perpetuated, but for the most part, I think it's more of a xenophobia thing.
And so with that being said, I know I don't tend to take myself very seriously, but when it comes to certain issues, I really have to just put away some of the humor and fun and jokes aside. But when I was watching the video that Alonzo was in, I was like, yo, this is something that I've seen happen, not to me particularly, like that type of stop and ask, but the way that in which they speak to you sometimes, and the tone in which they speak to you, like, yeah, I know I'm a foreigner, but yeah, you can speak to me like I'm an actual human being, as opposed to just I don't know. Sometimes I feel they think we're less than, not less than human, but a second class citizen basically. And even though you might tell them, hey, I've been here for a while, so I understand a decent amount of Japanese, they still sometimes speak to you in a way that's like, oh, we have to baby you through certain things. And I guess in that sense, some people get
no matter
offended.
how fluent you become, they're still gonna say, "Oh, Joseph, this nigga, you're kind of good.
Yeah.
Keep at it." Like,
Right, so I don't know what is it about it, but I want to get more in depth with your experience, because you made a couple, I think, poignant points during the interaction with the police officer, saying, "Why is it that once I have this hairstyle, this is the way you're going to think about me?" When true that in fact the persons who they're actually looking for, the ones that will carry the drugs, are persons dressed in suits.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I even mentioned this when I got stopped by the cops too, and they completely ignored it. By the way, because like, what? Ridiculous. But why would the actual real criminals hide themselves? I don't know, because they're criminals. But like, they looked at me like I was the weird one, and I felt bad because I actually pointed out some random guy in a suit walking behind me, like, why are you stopping me? Look at him. He might be carrying drugs. He looked at me like, no.
Get out.
It doesn't feel good, does it? When a gaijin points at you like you're doing some kind of crime. You do that to us all the time, but.
Well, Alonzo, you're not even like a gaijin, really. You're Japanese. Still.
Yeah, so.
Oh, no, that's, see? Like, I realized, like, one thing one of my homies says, like, being a mixed kid, man, kind of sucks. And I'm like, why? Because you're basically you don't belong anywhere 100% in a way. I'm like, what you mean? Because every time I go to the States, they treat me like, once they find out, every time I go to the States, once they find out I'm not even American, they're like, well, what is you? They can't even fathom, like, what exactly I am. I can't be a kid that just learned English from Japan. I guess that still doesn't really still, like, I guess, kind of mixes well in their terms because I speak too goddamn fluent. But, and when I'm here, when I meet foreigners here, they're like, oh, you're like, you're not a foreigner, but you're Japanese here, right? But then when I'm also here, Japanese people I never was told like, oh, Nihonjin, demo Nihonjin da to omotta. Like, I thought you're Japanese. I was never told that. I was either fully mixed, but not mixed with Japan at all. They say I don't look nothing like Japanese people. Even that was before I even had dreads.
So you think that
half Japanese black kids,
right?
Right. Like, no, man, I never ever felt like I belong here. Like, not in, and I don't mean that like in a negative way or anything. It's just a fact. Like, I never felt like I belonged here.
Apart from that, so you said, how many times on average do you think you get stopped by police because you are a suspicious person then?
Definitely less than Ocean. but no, like, honestly, so this is another thing why I haven't really been kind of like sharing these kind of stops, because I'll be honest, I only got recently, in total, maybe I got stopped like 5 or 6. And some occasions when I was younger, I didn't really know I was being racially profiled or being stopped because of so-and-so reason, because I was too young and I didn't really know all that about those stuff. But in total, I probably got stopped like maybe 6 or 5 times. And out of those 4 occasions was recently, like within 6 months. So like when I started,
for you though?
That's total, man. That's it.
That sounds like me too. I haven't been stopped
That's
that much either.
Hey, maybe I'm doing something wrong.
Maybe it's maybe it's who you're rolling with. Oh, who are you rolling with? Well, you're dressed like you're taller than me.
But then again, no, because like Ocean, I don't know if you remember my homie Carl. Yeah, we were at Abs's house one time.
Yeah, I remember Carl.
Yeah. He only got stopped twice, bro.
Well, that's
You know what I mean?
Carl got German energy. That's why.
Yeah, German energy too. But like my homie, shit. Like I realized, like so far, once the Japanese police was like, "All right, he's way too big for me to stop. I'm gonna just let him slide." Because let's be honest, Carl's a big dude, right?
Oh, okay.
And like I've seen occasions where, like Ocean, you know Scott,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And sometime I was there when the police tried to stop Scott, and Scott just looked at him. And he was like,
Yeah, he just keeps going. Yeah.
It just keeps going. It was like, okay. So whenever they see a guy like, hey, yo, now we can take it. Let's stop this dude. That's when I feel like I get stopped the most. And ever since I started having dreads, I get stopped more frequent. But I don't know about Ocean. Why Ocean though? Because I mean, but that's just me.
I reckon like half the times I've been stopped, I was by myself. And
okay,
when I'm by myself, it's always by more than two people. So I think there is definitely a bit of that, like, oh,
yeah,
there's enough of us to like intimidate or something.
Yeah. And they always ask you for your residence card, right?
Because
it's resident card, and then we're checking you for drugs and weapons, and I'm like,
weapons. Wow,
yeah.
Weapons? I never got asked for weapons or anything like that.
Yeah,
that's
dude.
crazy.
Oh man, one time I got an interesting story with that. One time, you guys remember when I had that bike accident and I was quite bandaged up?
Yeah.
I had a work party, and when I was still working at this old design firm, and then like I walked out of the office, and I shit you not, I walked like 10 seconds and turned a corner, and there was a cop car, full, like a little cop van thing, and they skirted the brakes, like full stop, skirted the brakes. 5 of them ran out, and then they surrounded me, and they were like, yo, we need to check you for weapons right now. And I'm like, what is happening? And I'm like, I just came from work. Like, here's my business card. Literally, you can look around the corner. You can see people are still there. Like, I work right there. And then they're like, no, we got to check you for weapons. Someone just, they're like, this was maybe like a 25-minute walk from Nakameguro Station. They're like, someone just attacked someone with a knife at Nakameguro Station. And you have to make sure it's not you. And I'm like, okay, you're coming from there. I'm walking towards there.
Yeah.
I'm a solid like 25 minutes walk away. How would I beat you here and then turn around? They're like, well, you have those injuries. I'm like, yeah. So I got in a knife fight, ran 30 minutes past.
Got bandaged up, and then
yeah.
Oh
like,
my! You
Goku. You gotta be
instant
Goku,
transmission. But you need to get his sensu beans. That's all. You can get his sensu beans so you could heal. That's it.
Yeah, dude. I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, and then in the end, you know, you can give them trouble and not show them whatever. But I think you have to show your ID. But you don't have
I think
to
that is by law required as a foreigner. You need to have it at all times. My company insists that you make sure you have it, or else they will withhold you. And let me tell you something. The Japanese polite thing goes out the window once you go in the police car and head to the station, fam.
Oh no, it's done. Yeah, it's right.
Because you don't get there's nothing about a call. You will be there until they feel like. Okay, it's crazy though. Here's the thing about me and Japan. I understand every country has its pros and cons. I'm good with that. And I'm still here because there are more pros and cons. But when the people cape up and say, well, this country is the most awesome place in the world, and you guys are selling all this bloody stuff, I don't like it. Get out. And I'm like, guys, that's not how Japan is. Yes, you're here for 2 weeks. Enjoy it. But when you live here, it's a totally different experience. And people can't get that through their heads. And so when we speak about things that is against their ideals and their dreams and hopes, they become offended when they don't need to be. And with that now, persons have had some really extreme experiences with the police being locked up without getting a phone call, they can't go to work. Work is trying to find them. And if you're in a company apartment, then they can actually like say, okay, well, we're gonna fire you, and then you lose where you're living, all because the police or who was in charge didn't give you a chance to call and explain what's happening. And the embassy can't help you. So because Japan is Japan. But people don't want to hear that sort of thing. So that's why I try to bring a lot more truth and more realism to my platform here. And that's why I want to talk to you guys as well, because you would have had we have had varying experiences with the police. I only get stopped because I wear my headphones while I ride my bicycle. That's it. But Ocean gets stopped all the time, and you had that one little incident there that was kind of, viral-ish, kind of.
I will say,
honest, man.
Oh, go ahead. I was gonna say, like, to go to the whole, like, when people are like, oh, it's perfect, just get out. It's not perfect. But also, like, and I'm just putting this as like a preface, is we have lives here as well. So yeah, we come here and then you figure out some of the, negative aspects of living here, and then it doesn't make it like hell. It's not the worst place in the world still.
Oh yeah.
But it's like, you also can't just, I hate it when people are like, why don't you just leave then? And it's like, well, we have lives here. We've built Alonzo, you're Japanese. So it's like, the rest of us is like, we have lives here. Right?
I live here.
Yeah, you can't just get up and leave a place. It's not like, oh, I came here for vacation and I decided to stay a few more months. It's like, no, we've been living here for a few years. We have leases, contracts, work, relationships,
like
all those type of things.
I realize like that's a really like I don't think it's only in Japan, but like it is more stronger of those kind of thoughts, because like so as the actual video got viral, I was reading some of the Japanese comments because I was curious. Like I was already prepared. Yeah, they're gonna be bashing the shit out of it. Like they're just gonna be hating on the comment, right? So I want to see what kind of comment I would see, right? I was basically looking for ignorant people, and some of the comments were just all like basically 80% of people said, if you don't like it, why don't you change instead of blaming the system? That was every comment. Like none of them everybody actually believed nothing was wrong with the system. They're doing their job. We have this much of safety because they're doing what they do. And you basically complaining about you don't want to show your bag and ID because you look suspicious. Well, and you're blaming them for stopping you. Well, get that out of here. I'm like,
I mean, if they were stopping everyone equilaterally, that'd be different. And then we'd have a whole different issue on our hands where people would be saying they're being fascist, which they are anyway. But,
according to Japanese people, man, like apparently in their view, some of the comments was basically saying, well, he shouldn't know what having dread in Japan would look like and what kind of risk would also follow that type of hairstyle. I'm like, what? When did having a certain hairstyle become a risk in a country, let alone why should it even be a risk? But like, and then like, and all those kind of comments were basically none of them was leading towards the actual problem, but more so, look, if people having a problem with it, they should change. Like, so like what Ocean said, leave or change your hair, be more Japanese and blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm sorry, being Japanese is not an option for me. It's what I am. Like, unless like there's like an option, like I can customize it some kind of cyberpunk way. But last time I checked, like I'm already Japanese and there's nothing I can do about it. I'm just trying to drip. That's all. And if that's a crime, then yeah, and you still can't see the problem, I don't know what to tell you.
Well, imagine I want to know how they would react if, they lived in a country where they all got stopped for having Final Fantasy VII hairstyles and shit like that. Like, yo, how would they feel then?
That's what I realized, man. Some of these people here really lack empathy. That's the main problem. I feel like they really can't empathize with not even foreigners, but just the criminal justice system. Because I'm not really aware of how much of injustice actually happens in Japan, like somebody being wrongfully accused or anything like that. I haven't heard that many news, but I'm actually curious.
It's quite high, actually. There's like a really high force.
So an innocent person been, but like an actual like a Japanese person though.
Yeah. There's a really high forced confession rate because that's how they keep that's how the conviction rate stays so high.
Yeah. Okay. Damn, man. Because I thought that only happens to foreigners as well. That's basically.
No, it happens to Japanese. There was like a really famous case about a lady in the 90s, I believe, who it was like they kind of essentially bullied her into admitting that she burned her house down, and I think it may have killed one of her children, but she didn't.
What?
And so imagine this lady has just lost like a family member, and she's in mourning, and they do what you said, Andre, where they hold her with no contact for a prolonged period, and they psychologically break her down until she signs this confession just so she can get out.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And I think this was actually overturned maybe in the last few years. But yeah, she still spent all that time in jail, right? And,
that's crazy.
Man.
It is out here.
That's insane, man.
But that lack of empathy, I think it's not even just like a Japanese thing. It's not like we're attacking Japanese people. I think you can look at it. There's scientific evidence that when you live in a homogeneous place, that you don't develop empathy as well. So even there's a lot of studies recently that have come out in America about how children from households of color, and particularly mixed households of color, those children, like in toddler stages, have super high rates of high levels of empathy, of facial recognition, of emotional recognition. They can identify a wider range of emotions and connect with a wider range of people that they're not used to seeing. And so it really is like it's a scientific basis. So imagine you take that and you take it not just to like homogeneous place. Like if you lived in like a white area in America where there's still some diversity in the culture, imagine you bring it to like Japan, #1 homogeneity out of the world, right? So of course they're gonna have issues with empathy, but the way you approach that and fix it is first you have to admit that that's an issue, and no one will ever admit that's an issue.
Good luck with that. Good luck with that.
Until they get poor, unless it has to do with money, then they won't. Until it comes like you're winning and you really did something like it, unless famous celebrities start to make waves, because Japan really cares about 2 things: your money and your social status. And
the fact that
persons with the social status and the clout and stuff start making waves in terms of saying, hey, this needs to be addressed, it won't change. And slowly, I got to admit, I feel that, you know, the thinking is changing. I've been here for like almost 7 years. Whoa. Sorry. Right. So May make 7 years I'm in Japan. And I've seen the differences in how people are thinking now. Even just by talking to people on the street or in the bars or whatever, there's a difference in how they see a lot of foreigners, because obviously persons are getting more exposed to persons in real life and not only the caricatures they see on TV. So we have to be careful as Black people that we are ambassadors for our country, whether we like it or not, you know. So we give a bad experience to that Japanese person, they take that for their entire life. But another race doesn't have that same sort of burden, you know. They can do whatever they want. Oh, that's how they are, it's fine, they're just boys or whatever. But we, on the other hand, oh, that's a scary person there, and that's a blah, blah, blah there. So in a sense, we kind of have to be on our best behavior at all times, twice as much as another person would have to be, you know.
Yeah.
You can say it, white people.
Oh yeah, well. Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, that's.
I didn't even say, oh no, he's really nice. I said, nah, but it's just.
I'm gonna get your channel demonetized. My bad.
It's fine. It's fine. It won't just matter. It doesn't matter like that.
Hey, let's talk about how the YouTube algorithm is racist.
Oh,
yeah, true.
You mean the Japan one? No, we're not getting into that. It's fine. But what do you think? Do you think since, I mean, especially Ocean had that little incident when he was you know, the story with Ocean. I think Ocean wanted to tell that story in a synopsis, just like the experience for you. Like, how, reflecting on it now, do you think you could have done anything differently to get out of that situation, or that was the only way we could have done that, or anything you have learned now that would have helped you, I guess, not get into a position like that?
Well, I'll give a quick rundown. For the full story, type in .KAI Meet Tokyo. The video's there. But for a quick rundown, it's essentially we got racially profiled in Yoyogi Park. They brought about 20 cops to stop and search us because we were telling them we didn't have the right to. And we did show them our Zaidu cards. And then they came back with 20 cops, full search, took down all the information. And then about 30 minutes later, outside of a combini, another man came and accosted us, was being very rude and yelling. The tension did escalate a bit to where it seemed like maybe a fight would break out. And then I decided, let's separate and leave. He decided to come back and re-escalate things. And he tried to grab the camera of a girl that was with us. So when he did that, I pushed him back so that he couldn't grab her. And he faked a huge fall. He did like a double backflip, somersault, whatever. And at that point, I left. But he told the police that he had received a brain injury. And a week later, and I only know this because the police told me, I made them show me the medical certificate. He came back with a certificate that said he had received a severe brain injury. He clearly didn't. He didn't. But that had come like a week later after the incident. And he didn't want to take anything to trial. He just wanted to extort me for money. He immediately just asked for a large amount of cash. So anything I could change about that incident, I would say you don't even get into it with people like that, especially when you can see that they want to like have a reason to mess with you. Yeah, like you just leave. Don't entertain anything they say. Just leave the situation. That's the only way you're gonna win.
Jesus, man. Simple.
Because even my lawyer was telling me, he's like, I think we can beat it. But there's no double jeopardy in Japan. So he's like, and at this point I had spoken with the prosecutor. The prosecutor was super aggressive towards me. I don't know if I told you about that. I went to the prosecutor's. I set a separate appointment at the prosecutor's office after speaking with the police to go like try to, explain the situation. And I brought a translator that was an outside party from Waseda University. And just in case my Japanese wasn't good enough. And the prosecutor got really violent in the meeting, was slamming books, screaming. He scared the translator. And so,
the
my
fuck?
lawyer at that point, who was speaking to me remotely, he was like, yeah, this guy is like, we could win this, but if we win this guy is going to charge you again because they can charge you an infinite amount of times in Japan.
What?
So,
What?
yeah. And he's like, what he's going to do is in the meantime, he's going to charge you. They're going to hold you.
Tie up
And that could be up to like 2 or 3 months. And then if you beat it, you'll get out and then they'll recharge you, bring you back in, hold you again. So he's like, yeah, this guy's going to probably make your life a living hell. So you're better off at that point to just pay the money that the other person is asking for, right?
I didn't know that was a thing.
That doesn't make sense though. Even if you win the case, why would they?
There's no double jeopardy, so they'll just bring the charge back up in a slightly different manner.
Jesus, man.
What? I mean, at that point, the third or the fourth time, wouldn't the judge know? Like, all right,
what does the judge say? Like,
I see what's going on here. Wait a minute, I see your face, like, bro.
There's no jury. All decisions are made by a board of judges. So they're, of course, and this is like with any other legal system, right? So of course the DA, the prosecutor, the judges, they all work together. They all know each other. They owe each other favors. Like, yeah, and there's no jury. So
like Harvey Specter and Mike Ross. Wow. Damn. I had a friend in Osaka that was in a more serious situation than you, Ocean, because there's actual damage to the brain. There was a fight, and we couldn't find him. Do you know where he was? People were calling him. His relatives called me from Jamaica asking where he was. I'm like, yo, I don't know. I'm all the way in Chiba. I can't even say, okay, let me hop over on a little train and go check to see where he is. It's like Osaka, right? And it was that, he got in a fight with a guy, and the guy was violent towards him first, and so he responded back and forth. He really beat up the guy, though. But he had to settle. Everybody says settle. His lawyer asked him to settle. The guy who wanted to settle it was a crazy amount of money. I think it was $1 million yen. I had to settle something like that. And he was held in lockup for almost a month because we didn't know where he was.
Yeah. And I had to pay, just for the record, I had to pay about 3,000 USD for pushing someone one hand push.
Wow.
Yeah, but remember from earlier, you're Goku, so your one hand push would have obviously sent him flying through.
Sent him flying.
It's like a 1-inch punch. It's like a 1-inch punch. Yeah.
Man. But it's interesting though, because I've been out at the night in the clubs and stuff, and I've seen them, they're always flipping up and they talk a lot, but they don't do anything. So I just let them be. Like they're like, I'm like, okay. But that's it. All right, good. I'm out.
Okay.
Yeah, like okay. My name is Jeff. You know what I mean? As but it's weird though, because it's like they're looking for you to antagonize you, and they're looking for a reason to get you into trouble. And man, it just sucks.
Well, it's a form of sagi, right? It's like a thing. This is especially if you're around like the Shibuya, Shinjuku area, and like correct me if I'm wrong, Alonzo. It's sagi, yeah.
Yeah, that is sagi, basically.
Yeah, it's a form of sagi. Like, they know they can do that. They know that they can prey on, like, drunk foreigners or something. Let me go start a fight with them because they know they're going to be able to win that and get a solid, like, couple K out of that easy. Yep. For them, it's just a night, right?
It's just a night.
Well, I'm trying to think, like, so don't they have to actually pay the prosecutors and the lawyers every time they sue somebody, though? So, like, every time, I mean, I know you don't want to be held, like, 2 or 3 months, but, like, would they be, last time I checked, prosecutors and lawyers ain't that fucking cheap, right?
Well, prosecutors paid by the state, and then they don't really need a lawyer because even when this was happening, they can do whatever they are. Like, their lawyer can be whatever their lawyer is. Because I remember at the time I was like, well, I'd like to, I'll work this out with him directly. If you could give me his number to the prosecutor. And he was like, no, you have to hire a lawyer. So, like, you have to pay for a lawyer. He's like, you need to hire a lawyer, and then your lawyer can contact me, and then I'll put your lawyer in contact with him. So I don't know if he ever actually had a lawyer. I don't think he ever even had to lawyer up.
Oh, that's bullshit. What?
Yeah. Because it wasn't like, my lawyer was never like, oh, I talked to his lawyer. My lawyer was like, I talked to him. And he's a dickhead, essentially. So my lawyer told me. It's like, yeah, because even we were trying to, like, negotiate down to a cost. I was like, I just was about to move house, and I just started a new job. So I was like, yeah, I don't have that much money. But yeah, no, that was interesting story. If actually you asked what I would do differently now, it's not the same situation. But the other day, when I was doing a bit of part-time work, I was on my bike and I was on the sidewalk, which is legal if you think that being on the road is dangerous at the moment, which it was a one-way road, so I felt that way. And I'm going very slowly, super packed Shinjuku Road. Some lady turns around with her massive shopping bag and clips my handlebar and sends me down. not going fast at all, though, right? So I catch myself at the back of the front of my wheel and a bit of my shoulder, kind of tap the guy in front of me, and his knees buckle a bit, but he doesn't go down. And I'm immediately like, oh, daijoubu desu ka? Like, itakunai, like, daijoubu? And he's just like, turns around, he's like, oi, what did he say again? He yelled some crazy shit at me. He's like, daijoubu janeyo, ite yo, maida. And it's like, went off, and I was like, oh shit. And I immediately this flashback, I was like, oh, this guy's he's gonna milk this. So like, I was just like, yo, I'm so sorry. That girl over there knocked the fuck out of my bike and sent me into you. And then like, he's like, her, and then she's like, me, and then she tried to like run, and then she stopped, and then she like stayed, and then it was crazy. And then like her mom pulled up, like she looked like she was in her like early 20s. She was with her mom.
Substitution jutsu.
Yeah.
And her mom ran up and was like, "Speedo dashiteta," and I was like, "Yo, dashitenai yo." And then so she was like, "You're going fast." I was like, "There's no way I can go fast in this crowded ass sidewalk." And then he's still yelling, and I was just apologizing. And he like looked like he maybe needed to get back to work, so he started walking off. But then he turned around and got in the phone and was staring at me and talking on the phone. So I picked up my bike, I jumped the rail, and I dipped.
Oh my god.
Sometimes the best thing you could do is just dip out at that.
Just dip every time.
Zoom.
Like don't get involved, but if you get involved, dip.
Involved, apologize.
Because like that one time, so the actual occasion where the guy sued you, right? They got your information from the cops that stopped you from your partner, correct?
Yeah, so it was like the first layer of racism.
Right.
It was like because I got profiled earlier, they had my information
Not just
like 30 minutes before.
It's just a domino of unfortunate, man. So like, if you think like nothing, like, bro, you good, then just dip, bro. It ain't like, because at that point, ain't no point, like, because that's also another thing. So I think Ocean, you know about this, but in Japan, it's a thing about it's a thing where chikan, right? Y'all know it. Yeah. There's actually cases where women actually says, yo, he touched me, and the dude said, what? No, I didn't. And there's like, no matter what, I believe like when it comes to like the justice system, if a woman says that, your chances of actually winning against that claim is pretty fucking low.
It's kind of up, yeah.
Yeah, you're pretty much up, apparently.
You would need like direct eyewitness of like multiple people. Like we were looking at him, he didn't do it. Yeah.
Good luck with that, because in Japan, once they hear chikan, like,
no one wants to be involved. Everyone else is either saying they're taking her side or they're walking away.
Because if they say at that point, if a dude says no, that's not true, then go think like, well, he's a part of it. Like, I'm not.
Yeah.
It's like this is the type of country where even if they see somebody getting robbed in front of them, they'll just like.
It's funny because this doesn't apply if it's a foreign woman.
Yeah, that's it.
I know a lot of foreign girls who have been like they've had some tough experiences on the train, and
nothing happens.
When they yell at no one does anything.
Out in the street, bro. Like, or even like, low key, if I know you stopped him from touching your homegirl's camera or whatever, but if he touched him, like low key, I guess she could have said like chikan or some shit to that dude. But I don't know if that will actually apply or people actually will believe it. It's like, what? No, he didn't chick. I tried to grab her phone or blah blah blah. Like, I don't know if that would have worked.
Yeah. If she had said chikan out loud, and then probably would have said,
to the dude that was dude that was just like, oh, I have brain damage or whatever. But I'm like, because like if you go to Shibuya and Shinjuku, I see these drunk salarymen all the time to just harass them, like foreign women all the time or just trying to take advantage, or like it's just crazy, man. Or whatever.
They don't have to be drunk either, because trust me, I've seen them and they're like,
no, they ain't gonna be drunk.
I'm like, wait, what? That's the line you're going with, bro.
I see Twitch streamers live streaming and they get harassed by these Japanese, not even old dudes, just regular Japanese dudes all the time too. There's like, oh, Nechan, big, bye. Ore ni chodai.
Give me your titties.
Like, bro, you on live stream, bro.
Oh man.
Live stream. Just type in on YouTube and just Twitch stream Japan harassment or whatever. A bunch of emotion, bro. Like, it's crazy, man. Like, I feel like that side of Japan needs to be explored on more. Let people know.
Nobody wants to hear that. They want to see, the samurai and the sakura blossoms and the park. And the
all the blossom they want to see, all the blossom they want to see is on the women's bra. That's about it. I'm sorry. That's all you want to see. That's all you want to see. Yeah, man. Like that's why, like, don't get me wrong, and like I know I sound like I'm hating on my like not even technically my own country, basically, but like that's how much like most of the Japanese people, really hardcore Japanese people, like even my grandparents, Japanese grandparents, they're proud of their country a lot. And every time I see that, I'm like, Grandma, no. Like, you got a black kid. You got a black kid. You got to know the struggle I'm going through with my country. Like, no, that's not the case. There's some couple of flaws you need to know about. And even when this whole I got stopped by the police stuff happened, she found out, and I told her what happened. She was just in shock, just like could not believe that would happen. Like, because she actually didn't know racism was a thing until the actual BLM protest last year in the summer. That's another thing, because you don't really see that a lot on Japanese television and social media. Like old people, they don't have social medias and whatnot or they don't have the access to Google stuff like that. So most of them rely on whatever the television says, and well, Japanese television rarely tap into those kind of topics. Yeah.
Eating
all
food.
They're into just talent show, celebrity in the country that's the crime that's actually happening locally, but that's about it. Like their interest towards other worldly problems, like other political problems out in the world, they have no interest in it at all. And I think that's another big problem about Japan. Like they really lack knowledge of these type of topics and whatnot.
Because they feel they're so isolated from it as well, I feel. And it doesn't really affect them so directly, but you know.
I went to Japanese.
I was gonna say I had some Japanese friends in the studio the other day tell me that they thought they asked me, they're like, we read that the Capitol Hill attack was actually Biden supporters in disguise, disguising themselves as Trump supporters, and that Antifa was involved and all this stuff. And I was like, where the fuck did you hear this? They said, oh, it was in this. It was some Japanese sports magazine they were reading, and they just so like one, why is that in there? And then two, they just take it at that because they have no basis to have actual discourse personally about it.
The Trump supporters in Japan were protesting that he stole the election. That bad. Oh my God, these people.
You're not even involved. Why are you doing a protest out here about that? That's not going to change anything. Like, go back to your no PCR tests, no mask protests.
Right. Oh,
right. No, man. Like they can't even they can't even do their own protests on their own country peacefully. Like you saw that post by Nair B that happened to his homie that got posted last night.
Nah.
Apparently there was like a protest in Akihabara between, I'm not exactly sure what political party it is, but he said the left wing and
LDP
the right wing.
And somebody else. LDP and maybe somebody else.
Yeah. And basically my homie Nair B, his homie was wearing a red Under Armour hat, and apparently ironically, the peaceful anti-racist left-wing group thought he was an extremist, so they mobbed him, and they like just ran up on him, and then he had to get actually protection from. He was taking my homie Nair B was getting a photojournalism going on with them. They were taking pictures and trying to find out what's going on. And during the interview, I guess he thought the homie with the red hat was an extremist, so they just chased him down. And they had to get protected by like 15 or 10 again police officers, and he had to go to the station. Like it's all Instagram.
Holy crap! All right, I'm gonna have to check that out after this.
Yeah. Like I was like, what the? Yeah. So like. Yeah, man, they were just shouting at him and blah, blah, blah. And he had no idea what was going on. He's Asian, but I guess he didn't speak Japanese. But yeah, man. So that kind of pretty much shows like they can't handle their own political.
They have properly. I would never do that.
Properly, yeah.
I want to know about the.
Yeah, man.
So, question: have you guys ever had any interaction with the Yakuza, like firsthand?
No, I stay away. I stay away. You're
not allowed to talk about it.
Nice. That's a good answer. But because Alonzo, you're in the Yakuza because you have locks though, so that's what the police said. Right?
Yeah, you must be involved. I
thought it was tattoos was the thing.
I'm not supposed to talk about my finger. I'm not supposed to talk about my finger. You see the punishments. Like I like my fingers where it's at, bro.
Is the ring finger, not the little finger? Which one is it? Because there are two ways. Right? When you leave,
excuse me. The ring finger. Wait, I thought it was the thumb.
It's a finger each time you up.
Yeah.
Which one did they cut first,
specific order.
I think it's the pinky.
Yeah, when you leave,
it was supposed to be
finger. I think if you leave,
it's originally it's so that you couldn't hold your sword originally.
Yeah, I think
so. It was the pinky.
It makes sense. Makes sense. I've seen Thumb. Well, I've only seen in Yakuza movies. I haven't seen it in real life. So at the end of the day, I don't know if it's true, but like, yeah, pinky, thumbs, like that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I kind of met one on the weekend, and he said first thing he said was like, "Oh, brothers." I'm like, okay, all right, that's all right. I'm not, okay, sure, yeah, whatever you say, buddy, yeah. And then he grabbed my hand, so shake his hand, and then he grabbed the finger like this. I'm like, no, I'm like, don't even. I'm like, I'm not about that life already. This is so I was like, nah, we're not doing that. He's like, but he was drunk too, so I don't know if it was like, oh, I'm gonna, if you do me, like, I think he was saying like, what do you call to yetera? Like, I was like, no, okay.
Oh no.
I'm good. I'm good.
Oh man, like
I'm
yeah.
good.
The last thing I want to do is have Yakuza give me a drink for us. Last thing I need to hear is like, all right, now you owe me. I'm like,
yes, I allowed you to breathe. Now you owe me.
I can't be involved, sir.
I need you to teach these kids bad English. Can you do that for me? Okay.
Nah, man.
Well, yeah, we're going to wrap up this call. I'd like to thank you guys for coming through, and hopefully you guys won't be strangers. Might have the whole line chat in a call one day, but that'll be too chaotic. I don't think I can handle so many people.
Now we got to do another round table. It's been too long.
Do another turn. Yeah, we got to do another round.
It's been like 4 years since the last, what was it, Brothers of the Round Table? Brothers in Japan?
That was with Devin.
Yeah.
Devin and Ty and all y'all. Yo, that was crazy. Christ. Oh, my God.
That one was kind of wild. That was like an hour and a half.
Hour and a half of
Is there a round table 2021?
I say we do it.
2021 round table.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, we should do it. All right, so guys, make sure you follow him on their socials. Follow DOT.KAI. Follow him on Spotify. I also check out Alonzo and his socials. And, of course, follow him. If you want to see more content like this, let me know in the comments down below. Support the Patreon. Get the merch. Support my single, DREMAZIN, Success, on Spotify as well. All right, peace out.
Sayonara. Sayonara. Sayonara.
Travel the same road. Success we are pre no failing, no. When they get a chance, just take it. So when they don't pay